going to Super Bowl 47, losing their coach in 2014, going combined 25-55 from 2014 to 18, then losing in Super Bowl 54 to the Chiefs. The 49ers have come a long way. The rise of the 49ers has been one of the more interesting stories to watch, from the loss of Jim Harbaugh to what Kyle Shanahan has done for the team, minus the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl. Today, I'll be going over nearly every move that helped the 49ers make it from one of the worst teams in the league to near Super Bowl champs. To begin, after Harbaugh was fired, the 49ers hired defensive line coach and interim head coach Jim Harbaugh as their head coach. Prior to the 2015 season, in the draft they drafted defensive end Arik Armstead in the first, safety Jaquiski Tartt in the second, and tackle Trent Brown in the seventh. What seemed like a franchise quarterback, Colin Kaepernick, was benched halfway through the season for Blaine Gabbert after going 2-6. Gabbert then finished the season 3-5, and the 49ers went 5-11 by the end of the year. Arik Armstead was not looking too good in his rookie season, as he only had 2 sacks. However, he was not a starter for the team, so he really didn't have too much opportunity. Tartt didn't look so bad, as he started 8 games and had an interception, as long as a forced fumble and 65 tackles. And no one else besides Navarro Bowman, who was a first-team All-Pro, really impressed on the team. You had Aaron Lynch, who had 6.5 sacks, and besides him, that's about it. Now, before the next season, the question really was, is Kaepernick the franchise quarterback, or do they have to move on to somebody else? And then after this season, Jim Harbaugh was fired, and on January 14, 2016, the 49ers hired ex-Eagles coach Chip Kelly to be the new coach of the team. Because of how poorly they performed in the 2015 season, they landed the 4th pick in the draft, where they selected defensive end DeForest Buckner and guard Joshua Garnett at 28th. And the team was heading into the 2016 season with a brand new head coach and Blaine Gabbert as their starting quarterback. Also just pointing out, second-year, 7th-round pick tackle Trent Brown became the starting right tackle for the 49ers as well. On September 1st, 2016, Colin Kaepernick did what he is most known for nowadays. He kneeled during the national anthem. But that wasn't the only thing he did this year. After Gabbert started 1-5, Chip Kelly made the decision to put in Colin Kaepernick for the rest of the season. And Kaepernick went 1-10. But his stats themselves were not bad, as he had 16 touchdowns and 4 picks. But he was released after the season due to the media attention he brought. I was one of the main advocates to get Cap back in the league when the vendetta against him did not allow him to play. But looking back on it, it kind of makes sense. Too much media attention, and showed he really is a winner. Yes, he went to the Super Bowl, but the team around him was really good, so that's honestly really why they went there. Moving on, rookie DeForest Buckner had a good first season, starting 15 games, getting 6 sacks, 73 tackles, and 7 of those for loss. The young players seemed to start showing potential, except for Arik Armstead, who only played 8 games, starting 4 with 2.5 sacks. But again, following the season, the head coach was fired, as well as GM Trent Bulk was also fired. Very deserving firing, as Bulk seemed to have an issue bringing in real talent, at least to this point, and no coach could really develop the talent. And Chip Kelly proved, again, he is not a good NFL coach. Both the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator were also fired. To replace all the staff members lost this offseason, they brought in Kyle Shanahan as their head coach, the offensive coordinator from the Atlanta Falcons that just helped them to go to the Super Bowl, but they ultimately lost because Shanahan did not pick the right plays to run the clock and let the Patriots come back from down 28-3. Along with Shanahan, they brought in Robert Saleh, linebackers coach from the Jaguars, to be their new defensive coordinator. They also brought in GM John Lynch, who the 49ers thought would add a new culture to the team and bring in the talent needed to help them finally win. Lastly, the team signed Raheem Mostert to the practice squad in November, and was later activated to the roster for Week 17. After the season, in the 2017 draft, the 49ers added defensive end Solomon Thomas, defensive end the first round 3 years in a row, after trading down 1 pick with the Bears, acquiring a ton of draft capital, while also adding college star linebacker Reuben Foster later in the first round. In the later rounds, they selected cornerback Ahkello Witherspoon, tight end George Kittle, and QB CJ Beathard. They also signed Matt Breida, an undrafted running back who disappointed heavily in his senior year of college, would have been drafted if he had performed any better. Now heading on to the season, as there were not many notable offensive transactions that really affected the team today. Beathard started 5 games after Hoyer went 0-6 in his first 6 starts, and CJ then proceeded to go 1-4. Then on Halloween night in 2017, the 49ers traded a second-round pick for quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo from the New England Patriots. His 5 games with the 49ers went 5-0, leading a 1-10 win team to a 6-10 win season. Jimmy quickly signed a 5-year, $137 million deal, which at the time was the biggest contract in NFL history on an average per year basis. The 49ers rookies also played well for the most part. Solomon Thomas only had 3 sacks with 41 tackles, 10 for loss, but Kittle racked up 500 yards and 2 touchdowns, being the backup tight end. Reuben Foster had 72 total tackles in 10 games, and Witherspoon had 2 picks and 7 pass deflections in 9 starts. I also want to point out, this was Carlos Hyde's last season with the team. After this year, he left to go to Cleveland, as the 49ers did not seem like they wanted Hyde anymore. Hyde was not putting up the best production for the team as well. For the first time in 3 years, the 49ers kept the same head coach, as Shanahan was looking to improve during his second season with newfound franchise quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo. This offseason was potentially the best and most important for the 49ers. They brought in George Kittle, who looked to be the team's new starting running back as Hyde left, and after the potentially flash with Minnesota. They also brought in guard/center Weston Richburg and former All-Pro cornerback Richard Sherman, who was released by Seattle after a devastating injury in the 2017 season. During the draft, they brought in tackle Mike McGlinchey in the first and linebacker Fred Warner in the third, with the pick that they got from the Mitch Trubisky trade back in 2017. Heading into the 2018 season, myself and a lot of people thought the 49ers would be contenders. They started the season off 1-1, and in Week 3, the franchise quarterback Jimmy G tore his ACL in a contest which ironically was against the Kansas City Chiefs, as well as Jerick McKinnon tearing his ACL before the season even started. From there, the season went downhill, and Nick Mullins and CJ Beathard shared time quarterbacking for a team that finished the year 4-12. However, there were some bright spots on the team. Matt Breida rushed for 800 yards while only starting 13 games. Kittle broke out in his second season with nearly 1,400 yards and 5 touchdowns on 89 catches. The rookie Fred Warner had 124 tackles. But there were some really bad spots, obviously. Bad quarterback play, and only one real pass rushing option with DeForest Buckner, as Eric Armstead and Solomon Thomas did not really play that well. This season gifted the 49ers second overall pick in the 2019 draft, where they selected defensive end Nick Bosa, brother of Joey Bosa. They also selected wide receiver Deebo Samuel in the second round, and in the offseason, heading into the 2019 season, they acquired D Ford from the Chiefs for a second round pick, signed linebacker Quan Alexander from the Buccaneers, re-signed Mostert to a 3-year deal, who was a good backup running back to Breida, as well as tackle Mike Parson to a 3-year deal, and Jimmy Ward, the safety, to a 1-year deal. And now, to last season. Kyle Shanahan showed that he truly is one of the best coaches in the league, after 2 injury-riddled and/or seasons with a bad team. Since he is an offensive guru, he coached his team to 4th in offensive yards, 2nd in scoring, 2nd in rushing, and had the most rushing touchdowns in the league. Personally, I think he could have and should have won Coach of the Year last season. John Harbaugh was great, but since Shanahan is in the harder conference in the NFL and only had 1 less win than the Ravens, I think it makes a lot of sense. But that is not me talking down on John Harbaugh. He's a great coach and deserved the award. But Shanahan was at least in the conversation and probably in 2nd place. Moving on, Jimmy Garoppolo came back from the ACL tear and looked good, nearly having 4,000 yards, 27 touchdowns, as well as having the league's 2nd best running game behind him. Raheem Mostert doing very well for the team and the carries he got, as well as Matt Breida and Tevin Coleman looking good. Now I think Mostert should be the bell cow back for the team, but having a committee has worked well for the 49ers, so why stop? Early into the season, the team realized that having George Kittle as their only reliable passing option, although Deebo Samuel looked good, was not best for the team. So, they gave the Broncos a 3rd and 4th round pick to trade for Emmanuel Sanders. However, their defense is what made this team elite. This defense was 2nd in yards allowed, 8th in scoring and interceptions, 4th in first downs allowed, and 5th in sacks and total tackles for loss. Nick Bosa came out and looked great from opening kickoff, even being considered to be in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation early into his rookie season, and he ended up winning Defensive Rookie of the Year. Fred Warner was one of the better linebackers in the league, and Quan Alexander impressed after leaving the Buccaneers, but he only played about half the season and was placed on IR. The team, like I just said, has one of the best pass rushers in the league. Eric Armstead finally broke out with 10 sacks after not looking good at all his first few years. Nick Bosa had 9 in his rookie season, DeForest Buckner had 7.5. However, Solomon Thomas still has not proven anything in the league. The secondary was great too, as Richard Sherman led the pack, and Kawan Williams, Kelly Witherspoon, Jimmy Ward, Jarkuski Tart, and Emmanuel Mosley all played big roles for this secondary. The Niners finished this outstanding season at 13-3, first in the NFC, led by their stout defense and running game, one of the best formulas to win in football. They made it to the Super Bowl after stomping the Vikings and Packers on the ground, holding them to a combined 30 points, and in the Super Bowl they held a 10-point lead heading into the 4th quarter. And if it were not for this missed throw by Jimmy Garoppolo.
Garoppolo airs it out. Sanders downfield is overthrown. And now with 1:33 left, it's 4th and 10.
I tell you, he had him too, Joe. He got in behind him. It's not what Kansas City wanted, but Emmanuel Sanders, he gets by Ward and Fenton. They're trying to double him on the outside, but yeah, just overshot it.
They most likely would have come out of the 2019 season as Super Bowl champions. But hey, they have lost Super Bowl due to a similar play, when Kaepernick could not make the throw to Crabtree in the end zone in Super Bowl 47 to win the game. The 2019 49ers are a team to remember, as they went from being one of the worst teams in the league through the past 4 seasons to almost winning the Super Bowl. The signings of head coach Kyle Shanahan and GM John Lynch were both the biggest moves the team made, as they both played a huge role in bringing in the key players that helped them build their team, like Jimmy Garoppolo, Richard Sherman, Quan Alexander, as well as drafting Nick Bosa, George Kittle, Fred Warner, and more. Those two just got extended through the 2024 season for Lynch and 2025 for Shanahan. San Fran made a ton of other moves this offseason. They re-signed Eric Armstead to a 5-year deal, traded DeForest Buckner to the Colts, drafted Javon Kinlaw to replace Buckner, drafted wide receiver Brandon Ayuk, and traded Matt Breida to Miami. The Niners hope these moves will bring them over the top and keep their core in place for a long time. Now, heading into the 2020 season, they lost week 1 to the Cardinals, and they look to be back as one of, if not the top dog in the NFC, and they'll be hungry for another Super Bowl. Just ask George Kittle.
I will be back here. I will be back here, and I will be back with a vengeance. You will not get the best of me, no sir.
With all that being said, that is it from me, guys. Thank you for tuning in to Fanatic Sports. Hope you all liked the video. If you did, please subscribe and hit the like button. It only takes 2 seconds. Also, follow me on Instagram at FanaticSports25 and on Twitter at FanaticSports. Now, before I head out, do you think the 49ers can win the Super Bowl this year?